SKOL Vikings, let's win this game.
Vikings fans, listen up. Minnesota is going through one of those stretches that messes with your head if you follow this team every single day. The quarterback room is turning into a puzzle, with a familiar piece possibly coming back, a talented young option showing up like a bargain, and even a big name reportedly on the radar. And in the middle of all that, the cap is tightening, with the next painful cut after Aaron Jones looming. Stick with me because the last story hits different for everyone in purple and gold. Let's get to News 1. It's quarterback talk again. I know, it's exhausting. But it's the kind of exhausting we live with because it can decide a season. The team has made it clear they plan to bring in another veteran to compete with J.J. McCarthy, or at the very least, give the roster a solid safety net. But while everyone daydreams about a blockbuster name and some magic plan, there's a much more grounded option quietly showing up at the door. And here's the detail a lot of people are ignoring. The name floating around as a low-drama return is Carson Wentz. He is not supposed to be the savior. Relax. That is not the idea. The idea is to lock in the third quarterback spot, stabilize the room, and free the front office up to chase a higher ceiling piece to battle for the second spot or even push the starter. I'm going to be crystal clear. As the third quarterback, I'm in. Seriously, you look around the market and you see some stuff that should scare you. Wentz in that role is the kind of choice that does not turn into an August soap opera. And there have been major national voices pointing in that direction, with Adam Schefter saying he expects Wentz back in Minnesota. Peter Schrager also jumped into it while discussing the team's quarterback outlook this offseason. Now, where I'm not buying in is the temptation to say, fine, just make him the second quarterback and call it a day. No, the chatter out there keeps hammering this point. After the 2025 season ended 9-8 and outside the playoffs, it does not make sense to treat Wentz as the main answer behind McCarthy. He can be useful, he can be professional, he can hold the line on an ugly Sunday, but this team needs someone with a higher ceiling if the goal is a real jump in 2026. And here's what I want from you. Are you good with Wentz as the third quarterback, that guy who doesn't wreck the game and helps the locker room breathe? Tell me in the comments what your ideal plan is for this quarterback room, because the way it's shaping up, it feels like Wentz is just the foundation, and another guy is coming. The question is, does that other guy arrive via a cheap trade, a surprise release, or with real fight for the job energy? Hold that thought, because the next story pulls on that exact thread. We are talking quarterback again, but this time it's the kind of rumor that makes your eyebrow go up. It's not just this guy fits the system, and that's it. There's the cost, there's the risk, and there's the ceiling, which is what really moves anyone who lives and breathes Vikings football. The buzz started with Indianapolis making it clear the player can go find interested teams. That changes the board immediately, because when a team opens that door, it also becomes willing to listen to offers it would not even entertain months earlier. And then a very specific detail popped up that sparked real hope. There is talk of mutual interest between Minnesota and the quarterback in question. It is not a signed deal, it is not a trade sitting on the table, but it is not pure fantasy either. Now the name, Anthony Richardson. I'm going to be straight with you. If the price is truly low, I totally get why the Vikings would look at this closely. Richardson is still young, he's got an arm, he's got legs, and he has those tools that make a coach start smiling, but he also has a history of volatility, injuries, and inconsistent execution. So it is not he shows up and it's solved, it's a bet with a plan. And if that plan is a real fight for the starting job, the locker room feels it. The thing that made this conversation more serious was the behind-the-scenes read on his trade value. There was talk that the compensation might not be higher than a day 3 pick, with some people even saying something like a 5th rounder. And that, my friend, changes everything. Because a 5th rounder, for a team trying to unlock upside at the most important position, is the kind of risk you can live with. Does it sting? Yes. But it does not break you in half. And I can already see the fan base in purple and gold split right down the middle. One side says, do not mess with J.J. McCarthy's development, let the kid breathe. The other side says breathing is nice, but winning is better, and competition helps everybody. And you know what? I get both sides because recent history has made everyone a little suspicious. We've seen safe plans go sideways. We've seen bets look crazy and work for other teams, but there's one simple truth. If the Vikings are seriously looking for a veteran while also flirting with a high-ceiling young quarterback through a trade, it's because nobody in that building wants to depend on a single path, and that says a lot about how they see 2026. Hold on to this, because the next story brings another big name to the table, and the conversation stops being cheap trade and starts looking like a heavy impact move. But before that, one quick ask. Subscribe to the channel. It's free, and it helps a ton to strengthen this community. Now let's keep going. Another bomb just hit the table, and this one already feels like, if it happens, it changes the mood of the entire building. It's not only about filling a spot, it's about shifting the pecking order on offense and how Kevin O'Connell wants to build the game plan. It started the way it always starts this time of year. The Vikings are being linked to every quarterback possible. True. But this time it came with a different flavor. Big voices from the outside said Minnesota has a few names on its radar while it maps out the veteran quarterback plan, and among those names is one nobody expected to hear with real momentum right now. I'm going to hold the name for one more beat because the reaction is part of the story. If this guy shows up, the conversation stops being insurance for McCarthy and becomes serious competition. And then the arm strength conversation changes, the type of throws change, even the way the play action breathes changes. Sounds dramatic? It's not. That's quarterback life. The name is Tua Tagovailoa. I'm going to be straight with you. I get why Minnesota would look at him. When Tua is right, he gets the ball out fast. He's surgical in the short and intermediate areas. He keeps the offense moving in rhythm without getting cute. That fits a system that values reads and timing. But the other side shows up too, and fans are not naive. There's durability. There's what it would cost in a trade. And there's the question nobody escapes. Is he coming in as a bridge or is he coming to take the job? And that brings the impact right onto J.J. McCarthy's shoulders. Because let's be real, the Vikings are not bringing in a name that big to stand around. If they do it, it's a real fight. And I can already hear the arguments in every Minnesota bar. Let the kid play. No, bring in someone who gives you a real shot. But what about the future? What about right now? It's the kind of debate that splits a table in half. There's another layer too. When Tua is mentioned in the same cluster of possibilities with other quarterbacks, it feels like Minnesota is mapping two different lanes. One lane is the veteran who stabilizes without becoming a total threat. The other lane is the guy who walks in and says, "Hand me the helmet, I'm playing." And Tua belongs in that second lane. And I'll take it further. If Minnesota's even sniffing around this, it's not only talent, it's timing. It's finding a window where the team on the other side is changing direction, cutting costs, or hitting reset. And then the Vikings try to be the attractive destination, the place where the offense has pieces and the coach can draw it up. That part makes sense. Now, if this idea already has your heart rate up, wait for the next one. Because the next story is not about who might arrive, it's about who might be close to leaving. This one hurts before it even happens, because it is not a maybe someone shows up rumor. It is talk about moving a piece that used to be a symbol of the offense. And when the cap tightens, my friend, the team starts looking everywhere. Even at names we swear are untouchable. Minnesota has already signaled it will move on from two veterans to create space. The idea is to take a big swing at relieving the salary cap pressure. But even with that, there is still more work to do. And then a list popped up putting more names in the crosshairs. Among the names mentioned as a possible cut candidate, there's one that makes fans clench their jaw. I'm going to hold the name for a moment because the reaction is part of the story. It is not only is he good or bad, it's what he represents in the scheme. It's what it costs to bring him in. It's how the offense changes when he's on the field and when he is not. And it's also the kind of decision that leaks and makes noise in the locker room. The name is T.J. Hockenson. I'm going to be straight with you. I understand the cold money argument, but emotionally it hits hard. The talk is that he has not been the same since that serious knee injury, and that recent performance fell below the standard we saw at his peak. Then people look at the cap number and think, can we live without him? But the question nobody answers easily is, can you live without him and still keep the entire offense functioning? Because tight end in this system is not decoration. It's the safety valve. It's the guy who helps a young quarterback when protection breaks down. It's the middle of the field route when the game gets stuck. And let's be honest, Minnesota already has enough problems to solve. Removing a piece like that can be savings today and a headache tomorrow. At the same time, I'm not going to pretend it is crazy to discuss. If the cap hit is massive and the team is suffocating, the front office is going to put everything on the table. And when everything hits the table, fans feel that ugly mix of, okay, I get it, and come on, him too. And the fan base in purple and gold will split in two again. One side says, cut him and move on, it's business. The other side says, that's ripping a hole in the middle of the offense. And you know what makes it even more tense? Moves like this do not happen alone. If you're even considering cutting Hockenson, it's because you have a replacement plan, or you trust what is coming in, or you are willing to take a step back on offense to fix the rest of the roster. And then the conversation is not only about one player, it's about direction. Hold tight, because the next story is where the impact becomes real life for fans. It's about a guy with his bags basically packed, and the possible destinations are going to make a lot of people grind their teeth. This one hits you in the chest because it is not theory. It's a player we watched carry the load, and now it's going to be thanks and good luck. Minnesota has already said it will release the veteran unless a last-minute trade shows up. And when the cap tightens, the team turns into a calculator. But the stands turn into feelings, right? I'm going to hold the name for one more second because the story is bigger than the announcement. He came over from a rival, handled the pressure, took hits in big moments, and still became a cut target because of money. The fan base in purple and gold knows how to respect someone who gives everything, even when the body is not what it used to be. The name is Aaron Jones. I'm going to be straight with you. I understand the move, but I do not swallow it easily, because running back is a brutal position. The guy takes punishment every week. Then when the bill comes due, he turns into a number on a spreadsheet. And sure, that is the National Football League. But Jones was not just another guy. He brought versatility. He caught short passes. He picked up blocks when it mattered. And in a lot of moments, he was what kept the offense looking like an offense. And then comes the part that makes you mad. Where does he go next? Because yes, he will find a team. Fast. And there are a few fits already circulating as possible landing spots. The Seattle Seahawks show up as an option because of the state of their backfield and the search for a veteran who can handle the workload. The Atlanta Falcons pop up because of their run-heavy style and the need for another reliable piece without overloading their top talent. The Carolina Panthers also enter the conversation as a team that could want stability and leadership in the running back room. Now here is the part that really gets me. Picture him going to a contender and having 2 or 3 standout weeks. Then you watch the highlights and think, man, that used to be ours. And that is why this story is heavier than the others. It is not only cap math, it is identity. It is the team saying, in real terms, we are changing how we build this roster. And I'm telling you, it connects straight to everything we talked about today. If the Vikings are reshaping the quarterback room while also cutting an important veteran, it means they are redrawing the entire team, piece by piece. And when that redraw starts, somebody you like always ends up outside. We talked about a familiar quarterback who could come back to stabilize the foundation, a young quarterback with massive upside who might be cheap in a trade, and a big name on the radar who would change the weight of the competition. Then out of nowhere, the cap scissors show up, and there is even talk of moving a major piece of the offense. And to close it out, Aaron Jones is on the way out with multiple teams already watching. I'm going to be straight with you. This is not chaos for the sake of chaos. This is the Vikings trying to decide who they want to be in 2026. If the front office lands the right veteran in the quarterback room and does not wreck the offense in the process, you can dream about a real jump. If they get it wrong, the season becomes that almost we know way too well. And I'll say this offseason is going to separate the people who only check the score from the people who lives and breathes Vikings football. Because these decisions are not gossip. They are cuts, trades, bets, and pressure on young players. And that shakes the whole team, from the locker room to Sundays on your screen. Drop a comment and tell me which of these stories hit you the hardest. Stay tuned. SKOL Vikings, let's go!